We are going to have a test over our vocabulary on functions on Monday. If you got a purple check mark, meaning you completed the majority of your review in the timely manner, then you can get a parent signature also for 5 bonus points. So if you have the purple check mark and the parent signature, you can get the points. We've been talking about what a function is and is not. So a function is a set of coordinates where there is only one x value for every y value. So essentially there are no repeat x's when we look at the coordinates. Or if we're looking at a graph, it will pass the vertical line test, which again means there are no repeat x's. So when we look at number 1 here, which of the following is not a function? This one has repeat x's, so this is not a function. When we look at number 2, these x's are all individual. That means this is a function, so that is not what we wanted. Here I'm looking at my x's again. They're all individual, so this is a function. Here's a graph. My vertical line touches 2 coordinates. That means this is not a function. So 1 and 4 would be appropriate choices for not functions. At Bart's Bowling Alley, they charge $4 for shoe rental and $5.25 for each game. Write a reasonable range. Remember, range is y. For this situation, if you and 3 friends bowled a game. So today in class, we made a table. We talked about reasonable domain and range the other day. X and y, where x would be the number of games and y would be money. We cannot bowl a half of game. This is going to be discrete information. We said before you bowl any games, you've got to pay for shoe rentals, and there is you and 3 friends. So 4 times 4 is $16 in shoe rental. If you each rent shoes and 1 person bowls a game, that's going to be another $5.25, so $21.25. 2 games times $5.25 is $10.50. Plus the $16, so we're at $26.50. 3 times $5.25 plus the $16, now we are at $31.75. And then 4 times $5.25 plus the 16 is $37. If you wanted, we talked about you could write the equation. You could put this into the graph and look at your table also in the calculator. So the range, we're going to list it, is 16, 21.25, 26.50, 31.75, and 37. For the function, f of x equals 2x squared minus 5x plus 8. What is f of negative 9? Now remember, this is the same as saying f of x, and x is in place of negative 9. So this is simply telling you to plug in a negative 9 wherever you see x, and then solve. So here I have 2 times 81, and again, you can put this in the calculator. That's fine, you get to use that on your test. 2 times 81 is 162. Plus 45 plus 8 means that f of negative 9 is equal to 215. Remember, that would be a coordinate if we were to graph this equation, negative 9, 215. Fill in the blanks. Again, don't overthink this. This is purely vocabulary. Y equals 2x plus 5. Use x, y, and f of x. Y is always a function of x. Another way to write y is f of x. Same thing on number 5, don't overthink it. Another way to write this is in place of f of x, we can put y. If you wanted to be fancy, you could say y equals x minus 6 times x minus 6, because when we square something, we're writing it twice. What is the domain of the graph? Domain means x, so we're looking at all of our x pieces right now. Again, this is discrete. data because there are dots, so we're going to list our domain and range. If you wanted to, you could make a table of values, -4, +2, -2, -3, -1, +2, 1, -1, and 3, -2. This is a beautiful table. However, we are only worried about the x values for the domain. So we can write domain is -4, -2, -1, +1, and 3. It needs to be listed, not with inequalities. What is the missing value in the function table? I've given you the function here, -2 minus 6x. If we want to know x, we need to put this in place of y. We've been solving equations for many years now. Undo the add, subtract. Undo the multiply, divide. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. X equals 6. We also talked about how you could use msolve in the calculator, or you could put this into the graph and look at your table. On the next page, we're talking about range. Range is the same as y. And on a mapping, we have input and we have output, which is also known as x and y. So here is my range. I'm going to write 0, 2. Now this shows that if we were to list these coordinates, we would have 0 twice. But remember, we do not repeat when we list our domain and our range. Domain means x. You want to create your function window. In all actuality, we're only looking here since that's domain. -1, -2, -3, -4. Closed circle is less than or equal to x for domain. Open circle means less than 1, 2, and 3. Which of the following is a function? So again, at the front, we talked about what a function was. So we are looking for no repeat x's when we do this. Well, those repeat, so that is not a function. All of these are repeating. This is not a function. -1, 2, 8, and 10, that is a function because there are no repeats. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in this case, 3 and 4 are functions. How can you tell if a graph represents y as a function of x? So I just want you to be able to identify graphs that are functions. So maybe that's a function. Maybe it's going to be a line. Choose. Know that a function on a graph is going to pass the vertical line test, whereas a non-function, it could be maybe a circle, could be a vertical line, or two coordinates that are in a vertical line. So this is a non-function. So just make sure you can identify functions and non-functions in graphs. Write the function that models the weight of the balloon as a function of time. We talked about this is review. So if we're starting with 1.2, that's your y-intercept or your b value. This is your slope. They want the weight of the balloon as a function of time. They're saying this is our y and this is our x. So I can say w, weight as a function of time, or just w. You can write w of t or w equals, I have 1.2 as my b value plus 0.3 times the number of seconds. Be familiar with being able to use multiple variables besides x and y. This is purely a plug and chug, just with function notation, f of 4. I'm going to put 4 in place of x on the function of x. G of x, we're going to use 4 in place of x on the g. And I'm just going to plug in the numbers and solve. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 5 is 13. 4 squared is 16, minus 4 is 12, and it tells us to add those values. So f of 4 plus g of 4 is 25. Here we have a graph. This is part of a parabola. This says, suppose the height of an object after x seconds was given in the graph below. If the height of, of a second, sorry, there's a typo there, of a second object is given by h of x equals 90 minus 2x. If we put this in the graph, this is our y-intercept. You could have also made a table. So if I put in 0 here, negative 2 times 0 squared is just 90. And all they're asking about is which one started higher. So the rest of the graph doesn't matter. We're looking at these two coordinates. If this is our first and this is our second. So we can say which one, the first or second, started higher. We can see that the first started higher. And what was the height? It started at 100 meters. And we know it's meters here. We're back at Bart's Bowling Alley. They're giving us the equation, the function. What does the function indicate? Well, this is $5.25 each game, and we're starting at $4. So read carefully. Each bowl increased by, no, each game did not increase by 4. We said it increased by $5.25. This says decrease, so that's definitely not correct. Increased by $5.25, yes. Graph the function. You can make a table here, or you can simply remember that this is my y-intercept, and this is my slope. If I do my scale by 2s, and I can see that I'm going to start here. I can count down 3 and over 1 in order to create my linear function. You could also put this into the calculator and look at your table of values if that would help you graph as well, or create your own table of values. Write an expression for the table. So for this, we need an m and we need a b. So my change in y over my change in x, if you remember that from 6th and 7th grade. So 4 over 1 is my slope. I don't have a 0 value, but I can work backwards. 7 minus 4 is 3, so my b value is 3. So my expression is 4n plus 3. This one, I apologize, the graph was kind of hard to see. That will not be the case on the test on Monday. It's talking about the range, which is y. I'm not worried about domain. This did not start at 0. It started at 9,200. It is touching that, so is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 9,800. So again, make sure you know the difference between domain and range. Again, writing an expression for the table of values, so we need an m and we need a b. Again, change in y over change in x is my slope. If I continue the pattern and I work backwards, well, negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6, so my b value is negative 4. My expression is going to be negative 2x minus 4. Here I need you to be able to show me that you can create multiple representations of the same data. Remember, on a coordinate, it's always xy, so I can say negative 3, 25, 0, negative 2, 1, 1, 573. On a mapping, it's going to be your input, which is your x, and your output, which is your y. It generally is going to be listed in order from least to greatest. And we can draw our arrows to show those coordinates. 0, negative 2,